What if I told you that right now you could buy a home for 30,000, 40,000, or even $50,000 less than what's it worth? And I'm not talking about a shady tactics or lowballing everything you see out there. I'm talking about creative, smart, and strategic ways to find undervalued homes, negotiate better deals, and avoid emotional overspending. Hi, my name is Parth Soni. I'm a realtor based in Ontario and help smart buyers like you to find opportunity in this market. And in this video, I'm breaking down exactly how you can get a home for a way less than the market value, ethically, legally, and confidentially. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, investor, or someone who just want to stretch their dollar further, you will walk away with real strategies you can use starting today. Now, first thing first, let's start with honesty. Getting $50,000 off isn't guaranteed in every market, but definitely possible in right situation. And for that, you need to understand what kind of market you are in. So most of the time, every market fall under a buyer's market, balance market, and a seller's market. And this is something your realtor can help you with. So when you are working with a realtor, ask them what kind of market you are in. That way, you can gauge the market and get a better idea what the if there is any possibility lies to get an undervalued property in this scenario. And what I mean by buyer's market, so let's say in the city of Kitchener right now, the inventory of condo is roughly about 8.5 months. So anything with a number of 6 months or higher is technically considered as a buyer's market where a buyer have more leverage over the seller. And it's exactly opposite in the seller's market, where there are one seller and 10 buyers bidding on the same property. That is considered as a seller's market. And this typically happens when the inventory is less than 3 months or less. And there is something called balance market. This happens between 3 to 6 months of inventory, depending on the what kind of property you are looking. Now, this is very important over here. In the same city, it could be a buyer's market and it could be a seller's market, depending on what kind of property that you are looking. As I previously mentioned, to give you an idea, right now in the city of Kitchener, if you are someone as a buyer who is looking for a condo, it is definitely a buyer's market out there because the inventory is 8.5 months. But if you're a buyer who are looking for a detached property, then it's not at 8.5 months, it's lower or somewhere about 4 months. So that is typically a balanced market or more towards the sellers. So it's always a good idea to train yourself to see what kind of market in it. When I work with my client, I let them know what kind of market they are in. But if you're working with someone and they are not sure about what kind of market they are in, a good way to check it out, most of the time buyers are looking for a property out there online on pictures, and there are so many apps down there. Just to give you an example, like House Sigma, if you're checking on House Sigma and seeing all the properties that you like or you favorited are going out of the market or selling fast in 10 days, 15 days, or something like that, then definitely you are in a very heavy seller's market. But on the other hand, the properties that you are liking, it's been in a market for so long that way you know what kind of market you are in. And the other thing to look is something called days on market. Okay, and most of the app nowadays does show you, even realtor.ca will show you for a particular property how many days it is on the market. So that way you can determine. And days on market, something that you can get from your realtor or also from the board website. Let's say in our case, you can just check out Waterloo Region Real Estate Board, and on that, just go on the market snapshot. If you're someone who's looking in Toronto, you can go on the private website and check that out by yourself. The days on market for an average property is roughly between 25 days. And you are seeing a particular property in which you are interested in, and it's in a market on 60 days, then you can understand you can go a little bit hard, lowball the offer, and negotiate the price that you want. Now, if you're someone who are looking for a deal, you need to look for somewhere where not majority of the people are looking. You can focus on the properties where some kind of renovation is required. What I mean by that, if you're looking for a property which just have an outdated kitchen or bathroom, and another one which is my personal favorite, that's how we got this place. Basically, my primary home. What are the bad photos on the MLS? Now, this is the number one thing because most of the time people do search on MLS with the pictures. If they don't like the pictures, they would highly visit. It's highly unlikely that they will visit that home. So, and sometimes you will see that after looking at some properties, whether those photos are professionally taken or by some real estate agent with their iPhone or just a crappy angle. So, when you see those kind of photos which look really bad with not proper angle, not proper images, and very low light and things like that, try to check for those kind of properties because in person it might look exactly same than a better presented home. So if you see those kind of homes, the majority of people will not go for those kind of homes, and you have a better chance to negotiate in that terms. The other thing you can look for are the estate sales, because most of the time estate sales are like a pass down stuff. So the executor wants to get rid of it, and they don't have, I mean, they do have emotional value, but they just want to get rid of the property and get a quick sale out of it. So if you're someone who's looking into this kind of properties, you might get a deal out of it. That way, by the way, we secure a property for our client in Lackner Woods, one of the very premium neighborhood in Kitchener, for $672,000. So 3 by 2 bath townhome. And checked the sale for last 6 months. Nothing is sold in that price. Like everything is in a range of $20,000 to $30,000 more than what we. The other thing to consider is to check out or estimate the basic repair cost. Now, this is something a professional or realtor will help you out with this one. Whenever we visit the house, I always tell my client, hey, if this thing is not as good as that you are looking for, this is what it will cost you to get it replaced. So, if there is any major thing, like just to give an example, if the kitchen is not updated, if the countertop of the kitchen is not updated, don't just left the house because of that. Just get the basic estimate and you can always get it done. And one more thing, let's say if the countertop is costing you $3,000 and if you are willing to go for a $700,000 for that home, then negotiate, like deduct $3,000 from your purchase price, and that way you can get a better deal. Choice of your countertop and you can get the deal. And I also have buyers that get $40,000 under just because the house smelled like smoke and needed a new carpet. With just $10,000 in upgrade, they have got instant equity, and seller were also happy to move on. Now, another way to find a good deal is to find or identify motivated sellers. Most of the time in the listing, it might say motivated seller or something like that. Like sometimes listing do say that they want to sell a quick sale, motivated seller, or something along that line. Your realtor will get you that information, and it's easy to figure out by your own as well. There are other instances where someone is getting divorced or probate or inherit or something like that happening. In that case, you may be able to get good. And just to give you another example, always see what kind of who is selling that property, and if it's a heavy investor, if they have a heavy investor portfolio or not. A recent example, we secured a condo townhouse where the seller does have six other properties. So I get to know they're a heavy investor, and we were able to secure a deal that way as well, because they don't have any emotional value for that. They are just looking for a quick closing and stuff like that. We got the closing done in less than a month. And a good realtor watches for this signs and contact agent directly. This sellers often accept lower offers in exchange for speed, clean terms, or even flexibility. The other thing to consider is buying during holidays or off season. Like we recently happened, we shoved in an offer on a Friday night and didn't give enough time. Like we gave time, I put an offer on Friday night, communicated with an agent on Saturday morning, and gave them a time till Saturday evening. And it was a long weekend, like just the Canada Day weekend, and not they were not able to secure any other offer in that particular time. And our offer was fairly good, I would say, not that low offer, but it was still, I would say, 15,000 under the market value, and we were able to secure that house for our. And this is my favorite tactic, because most of the time, many times, more people check properties on weekend, and if you're someone who check properties on weekdays, you can skip all that people and put a preemptive offer on that one. And sometimes you will see listings that are overpriced so much, and sometimes clients don't think it might be worth their time to go and check that out. But I always advise all of my clients, even they have listed at a very high, the market value is still over here. So go and check those kind of properties and go little bit below market values, because what happens in those kind of properties is when they have listed at a higher value than the market value, as I mentioned, like not many people are motivated to see those properties, and that way you can have a better advantage, because not many showings happen on that property. So not many offers on that one. You could come and scoop in those kind of things. The other thing to consider is to work with a right agent, and yes, this does matter. I always tell my client, like price is only one part of negotiation, terms matter that much as well. And most of the time, we have gotten thousands of just by being the easiest offer to accept. Now, I'm not telling whenever I work with clients, they got all the offers accepted below market value, because that's not the true. And if the agent is telling you that every home they purchase for their buyer client, they get a below market value, just run away from them, because sometimes it does happen like you will pay market value or even a little bit higher, like $5,000 to $10,000 more than the market value, which is really okay. Now, this might be contradictory to some people, but it's really okay if you are someone who like that house, who will enjoy living in that house, who have, and the house does have some extra feature that you are not looking for, but you will appreciate it. Because I've seen many times like people paying extra payment or extra price for their car colors, for sunroofs and things like that, then why not spend little extra on the thing that you will be staying in? So yeah, it's totally acceptable in that way as well, once you like the property. Now, in the current market, you could also look for the assignment deals or the builder installation as well. Like most of the time in the assignment deals, it's pretty hard to find at a good price as right now, because sometimes there was a resale property in the same neighborhood or might be on the next street that might be 50 to 60,000 lower than what the assignment price that you are paying for, even after that huge discount. But sometimes you will find those kind of assignment deal where you are paying roughly about 10 to $20,000 more than a resale property. And sometimes it's worth it, because by paying that $10,000 more, you will live in a house which is never lived in before, a brand new appliances, brand new bathroom. You'll be the very first one who will be living in that property, and also less amount of maintenance because it's a newer property. So if you are someone who's spending $10,000 more on an assignment deal compared to a similar resale value, it might be a really good deal. Yeah. And there is something other called as a ghost listing. So these are the listing that are taken off from the market, which are never sold. And this is something I do for each and every one of my client. If they like something in that criteria, and if I see a listing which was taken off the market, I directly reach out to the listing agent and ask, hey, if your client is interested to getting the things done off market or not. And you will be amazed to see most of the time the agent will say yes and reach out to their seller, and we can get the deal done that way as well, with no competition, most often little below the mark. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to know and you should definitely avoid when you are working in the market. The very first thing is to do is that don't just throw in a lowball offer, especially not on the very first day. Because what will happen is that, let's say, just I'm just giving an example. Let's say if you throw a lowball offer on the very first day, most of the time, like the seller will not accept a lowball offer on the very first day. That is true. The other thing will be you will left a little sour taste on the seller's mind when you go back after 10 or 15 days because of your lower offer at the very first. The other thing to consider is to don't compromise on the major defect thinking you will deal it with later. Now, you cannot compromise on neighborhood layout. If there is something off with kitchen, countertop, bathroom, flooring, paint, or something like that, that can be taken care later on. But if the neighborhood is not good, and if the layout is not good, because those are the things you cannot change later on. Layout you can, but it's a very costly thing. And most of the time also consider all the major updates with the house, like roof, electrical, plumbing, structural, all that kind of stuff as well. So don't compromise on those things. Now here's another thing. Don't expect 50K off in a red hot neighborhoods with 10 offers on day one. Now, if you are someone who's looking for those kind of deals, it's very hard to find. You may be able to secure it, but if it's a really hot pocket or hot neighborhood, so this kind of deals will not happen in those kind of neighborhoods. So be smart, be strategic, and play the long way. Now, buying a home with 50K below market value isn't a dream; it's a plan. And with the right mindset, with the right agent, with the right strategy, it's achievable most. If you think this was valuable, give a like, give a subscribe for more honest, no fluff real estate advice. And if you are someone who's looking to get into a Waterloo region market, you can reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.